the all-new Mazda CX-70 has been revealed. Wait, is that a CX-90? The all-new Mazda CX-70 has been revealed, and it's different than a CX-90. And in this car vid, crossovers collide, and we're going to look at how I really feel about the CX-70. More car vids! What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan Sewell Sales at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise, Alabama, and it's been since 2012 that we had a 5-passenger vehicle with more than substantial cargo, and that was the original CX-7. And some of you original CX-7 owners were still waiting for the day that there would be a 5-passenger vehicle with more cargo. And what we got was a CX-70 that was perhaps looked like the exact same as the CX-90. Fortunately, it will have certain unique characteristics, although the dimensions will be, for the most part, as we can tell, the exact same as the CX-90. And this is where the CX-90 and the CX-70 will actually collide with consumers, because for right now, what we can decide is which is more important, a third row or more passengers, or 2-row with more cargo. And I'll talk about my decision later on which of those two is actually greater than the other, in my opinion. I know that I've done a little bit of reporting on the reveal, and I am excited because this is a new product, a new vehicle line to bring more attention and more drivers to Mazda. However, it's important for me to share with you, the community, how I really feel about the Mazda CX-70. So let's jump into that. So first, talking about the CX-90, I was very excited about the new powertrains, and we had so many things to be excited about as first ever with Mazda in North America. However, as a Mazda lover and Mazda passionate one, I was very disappointed that we did not have a carbon edition trim, or at least a polymetal gray color available or variant of the CX-90. So with the CX-70, we now know that we will have a polymetal gray availability and a red leather availability. So in theory, you can have a carbon edition by matching those two exterior and interior qualities, plus the new gloss black trim on the front bumpers, rear bumpers, window surround, handles. All of those things lead towards more availability of a carbon edition. Well, mostly a carbon edition, but in this country, I don't believe we'll have a solid gloss black wheel at 21 inches. I think whether it's a plug-in hybrid or the inline 6, you will have a black with machined outlines, so to speak, on that 21-inch wheel, which is unique and different styling than the machined wheel on the CX-90, and I think a lot more sporty, and I'm excited about it. However, I am, as of now, unsure if that red leather means that we won't have the white leather that the CX-90 offers, even not just the Turbo S Premium Plus, but even just a white Napa leather that we see in other trims. I'll be disappointed because I still enjoy the white. Polymetal gray, red leather. Check one off for the CX-70 on some things we missed on the CX-90. Next, let's talk about cargo space. Mazda has not been known as a crossover with the most cargo space. And with the heavy packing that I do when I travel, and the 5 other people in my family that sometimes have to bring things as well, it's necessary for a lot of cargo space. And in the CX-90, as expected with Mazda, again, we know what we're getting into, there's not really that much space behind the third row seat. However, the CX-70, with the exact same dimensions and body as the CX-90, now has an opportunity to perhaps be the best in class rear cargo space, and definitely with those second row seats folded down. So that's exciting. And I mentioned on the reveal video that even though I have 6 people in my family, I would probably choose to purchase the CX-70 based on style and cargo capacity, even though I wouldn't be able to fit all of my family in the vehicle. And that's how important rear cargo capacity is to me, and I know to many other people. And I'm speaking to you CX-90 owners that folded down the third row seat at purchase and never lifted them up or used them ever again. So the CX-70 is really like a supersized CX-5, although there are some styling differences, but it gives us that 5-passenger with that extra cargo. So that's another check for the CX-70. And when we talk performance, the CX-90 is fantastic, whether it's the 280 horsepower standard turbo, the 340 horsepower Turbo S, or the PHEV. All of those vehicles provide more than adequate performance on zoom and driving dynamics. And I've said it before, that's a big vehicle with a small feel because of the tighter turn radius than a CX-9, the kinematic posture control that eliminates body roll in those turns. It's very fantastic, and there's no disputing that the performance is there on the CX-90. So all I can assume for now is that the CX-70 is going to have all of those great things, plus perhaps a little less weight, because removing that third row seat should be a lighter weight vehicle. And although all the performance specs, 0 to 60 times, and all those measurements and all that fuel economy will probably stay the exact same because of previous testing, we know that a little lighter weight would probably be a little bit better, and that's fantastic on the CX-70. So another check goes to the CX-70. And we've already talked about the polymetal gray, but don't forget, with other exterior colors, we're adding polymetal, zircon sand, and an all-new color, which I'm excited about, in the melting copper. That's a check for the CX-70, although I probably need to take that away and give it a little bit of an X, because as of now, I'm not sure if the CX-70 will have the artisan red, which is a new large platform only color, so maybe CX-90 only. Also, I don't have any information that says that there will be the deep crystal blue or the machine gray available. Mazda? No machine gray? And when we talk about the Kodo design and the overall style of the body of the CX-90, I love the CX-90, and from what I've seen, I'm gonna love, and I do love, the CX-70. Of course, I prefer the black wheels and some of the black trim pieces that'll be fantastic on the CX-70. So that's another check for the CX-70. However, maybe I should take that one away as well and give it a little bit of an X, because I would really have rather seen, I'm fine with the same dimensions, same size, width, length, all that stuff, but I really wish they would have done something with that extra bump in the D-pillar. And when you remove the third row seat, you really don't need that bump or hump for the third passenger headroom. Although it will contribute to large cargo capacity, but I think that we could have slimmed that down a little bit and changed out the D-pillar and the liftgate, and it would have made a better looking CX-70. And although we don't have an official release yet, I do expect pricing to be released in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But we can assume that with pricing, it's going to be close to the CX-90, but also assume that because you're removing a third row seat, that the CX-70 pricing will be less. So that's another check for the CX-70, because it will be a lower price than the CX-90 because you're removing that expense of the third row seat. That's how I really feel about the CX-70, and there's some things I would have changed, some things I love, and some things I'm still scratching my head on. One thing that I can speculate is the reason that Mazda did go with the exact same body and exact same dimensions is because they originally expected in their forecast and planning that this new MCUV mid-size crossover utility vehicle would sell about 120,000 units when production rolls out to the levels that they want. Only 90,000 of those would be CX-90, according to Mazda. So that means only 30,000 of those would be CX-70. And you can see why there wasn't a lot of R&D money spent to develop an all-new CX-70 when they only expect it to do about a third of the CX-90. But remember, you've heard it here first, although Mazda was expecting 90,000 of 90 and 30,000 of CX-70, I think we're actually going to be closer to a 60-40 split of that third row, more passengers versus the more cargo conversation, and maybe even 50-50. So I do believe that as consumers and drivers, there's going to be some that, although they would like the benefits of a third row, they're going to gravitate towards that more cargo, perhaps best-in-class rear cargo, and therefore more cargo will actually be greater than more passengers to many people, and get that to a 50-50 or 60-40 split between the CX-90 and CX-70. Of course, all of these things depend on the production, and I know that Mazda is definitely going to pay attention to consumer demand, just like they have in the 90 powertrains with the plug-in hybrid versus the inline sixes. Although it's been more than a decade since we had the CX-7, we now have the CX-70, and although it's a supersized CX-5 and a supersized CX-7, considering those dimensions as well, I think that this will be a fantastic addition to the Mazda line. And although there's some things I don't like and some things I do, I could say that about every other Mazda in production and available right now as well. So the CX-70 is coming. It will be the third release of those 4 large platforms. I think that it is very exciting to have the unique characteristics of the CX-70, unique colors, interior and exterior, and perhaps new trims. And we'll find out more as we get closer to that information coming in the next few weeks. If you have any questions or comments, you can always drop them down below or text me at 334-718-0504. I am Jonathan Sewell Sells at Mitchell Mazda, and I'll always keep my ear to the ground for all the latest Mazda news, and I'll see you on the next one.